Hello, episode 10. I cannot believe we are 10 episodes into this podcast. This podcast that I was so afraid to put out into the world, that I was so nervous about because I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't know how it would turn out. But here we are, 10 weeks in, 10 episodes, and we are still doing it. And I am learning more and more every week, gaining more and more confidence every week, and just figuring it all out. Even though there's still a lot I don't know, even though I don't know how it's going to turn out, I'm here for it. And that, my friends, is what it's like to show up consistently. And I'm going to do a whole separate podcast on consistency. But this is it. It's not always perfect. You don't always know the way. You won't know how it's going to turn out until it turns out. But you can decide that you are going to show up consistently. And the only thing that is needed to be consistent is quieting your inner mean girl and stopping her from getting in the way of what you really want. That's it. And that's what I've been doing. Every week, my inner mean girl wants to pop up and be like, you don't have anything to talk about this week. You should just stop. You're not going to be able to keep this up. You're going to give up. Eventually, you're going to give up. But here we are. We are 10 weeks and 10 episodes in. And I feel like I'm like kind of hitting the stride. And so I thought for this week, I would do something a little bit different and a little fun for this episode. I've been thinking a lot about 10 episodes and how right now it kind of feels like a big number. I think in the long run, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like I thought 10 was big. We're at hundreds. That's one day, right? But for now, 10 feels really big. And I've been thinking about just this whole process and how even through this process of launching a podcast and showing up for this podcast for 10 consecutive weeks, how much coaching has helped me. And so I thought I would bring a little bit of that to you in this episode. So I have been coaching with my coach for over 4 years now. I had coaches prior to her, and last year I hired a second coach that I worked with for like 8 to 10 months. But for over 4 years, I have been coaching consistently with my coach. And that may seem like a really long time, and it is, but I can't imagine doing these past 4 years or really any years to come at this point without her. Every week, I get to spend a whole hour coaching, getting my brain coached, clearing out what I call like the muck of our brain and seeing things in a different light. I get to show up with all of the things that I want to celebrate and all of the challenges that I'm facing, all of the stories of my inner mean girl, all of the negative feelings that want to pull me down that negative spiral and get me caught up in there. I get to spend a whole hour with someone there, fully present, supporting me through it all, reminding me that not only is it going to be okay, but that I have everything that I need to handle what is happening, to remind me that nothing has gone wrong. Coaching has helped me to build my confidence and manage my emotions without believing that any of my thoughts or any of my emotions are wrong. And so, to celebrate 10 weeks of this podcast, I thought that it would be fun to share with you 10 of the biggest breakthroughs, lessons, shifts realizations that I have had as a result of coaching. These are 10 of the biggest things that have completely changed my mindset, my habits, my confidence, and the way that I live my life. And 10 things that may just help you too. So I'm so excited to bring you this episode and these 10 things. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Number one, my thoughts, your thoughts, create my reality. Your thoughts create your reality. This is something that blew my mind when I first heard it. And it's one of the biggest reasons that I was attracted to working with my coach. It's also one of the hardest things for me to really understand. It was one of the hardest things for me to really understand. When I first heard it, my brain immediately went to, so you're saying that all I need to do is sit around and think these thoughts and think about what I really want. And then all of a sudden, this life that I want to be living will like drop into my lap. That was kind of where my mind went when I heard my thoughts create my reality. I didn't really buy into it. And yet I was really intrigued by it. Like something else was there. And so I got a lot of coaching on this, and my coach takes me through this every week, right? And when I started to learn more about it, and I started to see how this may have been true for most of my life, I started to really look at, but what if this was true? And then I started to see it. When I believed that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't one of the confident girls, when I believed that food was good or it was bad, that I wouldn't be happy until I looked a certain way, that is how I approached my life. I didn't act confidently. I acted like I wasn't enough. I compared myself to others. I judged myself and I beat myself up and I pulled myself down a negative spiral. When I believed that food was good or bad, I tried so hard to be good. And then I believed I failed when I was bad. And when I was in a constant state of starting and stopping and yo-yoing, I never even gave my body a chance to be good enough. When I believed those negative thoughts, I lived my life from a place of negativity. I lacked confidence. I compared and I judged myself. And my reality became that I was never good enough. So I had to look back at those stories that I was telling myself, those stories of my inner mean girl. And I had to get honest with myself. And I had to be willing to rewrite them, because if my thoughts create my reality and I was living a reality that was beating myself up and lacking confidence and thinking that others were better than I was, that was a reality that I wanted to change. This has had one of the most profound impacts on my life. It has allowed me to finally see that inner mean girl that had been controlling my life for so long. It helped me to learn to quiet her down. And it helped me to realize how many of us women struggle with this. This is why I created Confident Mind and Body and the concept of quieting your inner mean girl, because this is something that I hadn't been taught. I had looked at all of the things that I needed to do, all of the diets that I needed to be on, and all of the exercise that I needed to do. I was all about the action, and yet I was carrying the weight of my inner mean girl with me. And we can't change our reality no matter what we do if we don't change our thoughts. That is why quieting our inner mean girl is so important. That is why I will talk about it till the end of the earth, because this is the thing that had the biggest impact on my life. If my thoughts create my reality, I don't want my inner mean girl to lead the way. And I'm sure you don't either. So we have to learn to hear the stories that she tells us and to be willing to quiet her down and to find the stories of our confident self. Number 2 is there is not better. Oftentimes we think when we get there, things will be better. I'll feel better. I'll feel more confident. I'll be happier. We believe that the weight we lose or the routine we create or the promotion we receive or the amount of our bank account will make us feel better. But there is not what changes us. There is not what makes us feel better. It's not what makes us feel more confident. It's not what makes us feel happier. The only thing that will make you feel better, that will make you feel more confident, that will make you feel happier is you. And this is the greatest gift that you can give yourself, because that means that nobody else is in charge of how you feel. Nobody can dictate when you feel happy, when you feel confident, when you feel healthy. That's on you. And if you want to feel happier and healthier or more confident, you get to decide to make that change. You get to decide to quiet your inner mean girl and start showing up for your life. You get to decide that you are the creator of the habits, the confidence, the job, the promotion, the bank account, the life that you want to live. You get to decide that you will continue to show up and take action and find what works and what doesn't work, with the belief that it is possible and you are capable until you get there. And what I have come to know is that who you become along the way is the thing that changes you. It's not about being there. It's not when you get there. It's who you become along the way. It's who you do decide to be when you show up for what you really want. Number 3. Oh, this is a big one, my friends. Your brain will always try to prove itself right. This ties with your thoughts create your reality. Your brain wants to be right. And it filters what you see and what you pay attention to in order to prove that it's right. It's an actual part of your brain. It's called the reticular activating system. And its primary job is to filter out the world. We come across so many different things every day. And if our brain tried to take it all in, it would go into overdrive. So, in order to distill that down, your RAS, your reticular activating system, filters out so much of what we come in contact with, what we perceive, what we see throughout the day. This means that when your inner mean girl is loud and you believe the stories that she is telling you, your brain is going to look for everything that proves those stories are true. And just like your thoughts create your reality, this is the best news. Because if your brain is always trying to prove itself right, When you learn to quiet your inner mean girl, your brain will start to look for evidence to prove that your confident self is right. And the more you look for evidence to prove that your confident self is right, the more you will find evidence that proves your confident self is right. The better you will feel, the more confident that you will feel, the more you will believe the stories of your confident self over the stories of your inner mean girl. Those stories of your inner mean girl will still be there. We're not ever trying to get rid of her. But when you can quiet her down enough to remember that your confident self is there, you will allow your brain to start looking for evidence to prove that those stories are also true. Number 4, confidence doesn't mean that you will never doubt yourself. It means that you don't let doubt stop you. Let me read that one again. Confidence doesn't mean that you will never doubt yourself. It means that you won't let doubt stop you. You are a human being. You are going to have human emotions, all of them, including doubt. Most of us, especially when our inner mean girl is loud, take this doubt as a sign that we can't do it or that it's too hard. We allow ourselves to believe that we'll fail and that failing is bad. And so we never take the step. We hold ourselves back. But when you learn to quiet your inner mean girl, you realize that you can handle any emotion that comes your way, including doubt. It's not that you won't ever feel doubt. It's that you won't fall victim to doubt. And the thing that I started to do when I feel doubt is I started to imagine doubt as if it was the starting gates of a horse race. You know how the race horses go into those little things at the start of a race? And I imagine doubt creeping in as that horse is put into the gate. And when you feel doubt, there are 2 options. You can freak out like some horses do and back out of the starting gate. You can go backwards, you can get out of the gate, you can never even give yourself the chance to run the race to go after what you want. Or you can settle in and find calm in the doubt, as many of those horses do, and you can let yourself move through it and go after what you really want. You can let the doubt creep in and remind yourself that it's okay. Right now, when I feel doubt creep in, instead of running from it, I have compassion for that doubt. I have compassion that, of course, I feel doubt. I'm doing something new. I remind myself in that moment that I have my own back, that I understand the doubt, that of course I know why that doubt is there. And I remind myself that maybe that doubt is leading me to exactly where I want to go. But in order to get there, I have to be willing to feel it, to find calm in it, and to move myself forward. Because the only other option is running away from it and giving up on the thing that I really want. Number 5, confidence doesn't mean that your life is perfect. It means that you can handle life when it's not perfect. Often we get so caught up in wanting things to be perfect, and when things don't go according to plan, we spiral. This was me for a long time. It's why I was stuck in the cycle of my inner mean girl, of starting and stopping, of looking for the perfect plan for so long. I let my inner mean girl take over and constantly tell myself that I couldn't do it, that I didn't have the time, that it was too hard, that it wasn't working, that I messed up. But coaching taught me that life is going to life. And it's going to life in the best of ways and the most challenging of ways. And quieting my inner mean girl and remembering that there are going to be circumstances in life that I cannot control, but remembering that I can control the way that I think. I can control the stories that I believe. I can control the way that I want to feel about what is happening that I don't have control over. And I can control how I respond to whatever is happening. And when I really allowed myself to lean into life is going to life, there are circumstances in life, facts of life that I cannot control, but I do have control over these things. I no longer needed life to be perfect. I no longer needed time to be perfect. I no longer needed the perfect plan. When I really allowed myself to see how it was true that my life didn't need to be perfect and I could handle it, I felt so free. I felt like I had so much more control over my life than I ever did when I was really trying to control my life. And I felt so much more confident to not only handle life, but to live my life. Your life does not need to be perfect. You just need to learn to quiet your inner mean girl and remember that you can handle life when it's not perfect. Number 6, you can love your body and still want to change your body. This was a hard one because for so many years, I hated my body. I believed that I had to hate my body, that hating my body would kick my butt into action so that I could finally change my body. And it may have motivated me to go out for a run or start the next diet, but it only ever created temporary change. Because if I have learned anything, it's that hating your body is exhausting. I spent so much time and energy beating myself up and criticizing my body. And it's no wonder I felt like I had no time and no energy for anything else. When I leaned into the concept that I could love my body and still want to change my body, my relationship with my body changed. I started to look for the ways that I appreciated my body. At first, it was simply that my body was there, that I woke up in the morning, that I had a body, that it was capable, because anything beyond that felt too hard for me. I had hated my body for so long, I couldn't jump to loving my body. But I could look at how can I appreciate my body? And remember, your brain always wants to prove itself right. So when I really focused on what can I appreciate about my body, I started to find things that I appreciated about my body. And then eventually I could move my way through. I could look at what is my body doing? What am I proud of my body for being able to do? What am I proud of my body for what it's capable of? And the more I started to do that, the more I could lean into, oh, but maybe I do love some things about my body. And then the more I focused on that, the more I found to love about my body. And the more I found to love about my body, the more I treated my body from a place of love. And from that place, things finally started to feel easier. Food stopped being good or bad. Movement stopped being punishment. And instead, I started to focus on what is the most loving thing that I can do for my body today. And what that did was open up so much space for me to treat my body differently and to do different things every single day. It allowed me to use the time that I have to do what was available to me. And some days, the most loving thing that I can do for my body is to rest my body, to not move my body. Some days, the most loving thing I can do for my body is to go out with my friends and live my life. It took off the chains that had held me down for so long. If you want to change your body, you have to change your relationship with your body. And you can love your body and still want to change it. Number 7, your past does not create your future. You create your future. This is such a powerful concept if you allow yourself to explore how true it is. Because when you do, it means the possibilities for you are limitless. The problem is we often allow ourselves to only look at the past to determine what is possible for us in the future. But we don't know what's possible until we discover what's possible. And if we only focus on our past, what we end up doing is creating more of what we had in the past. So if you want to create a different life for yourself in the future, if you want to create different habits, if you want to feel more confident, you have to allow yourself to let go of being that version of you that you once were. You have to let go of believing that everything that you have done in the past is what will be in the future. You have to allow yourself to believe in what is possible for you and that you are capable, even if you have never achieved it before. Your past does not create your future. You create your future. It is yours to own. Number 8, don't miss 90% of your life to weigh 10% less. This isn't particular coaching that I received, but it's something that emerged from a summation of all of the coaching that I have received and from my creation of the concept of quieting your inner mean girl. For over 20 years of my life, I focused on the 10% less. And as a result, I missed out on so much of my life. So much so that at the time, I didn't realize how much I was missing out on. But even though I was there, if I was present for things, if I was at events or out with my friends or doing things and seemingly living my life, I wasn't really there. I was so wrapped up in the stories of my inner mean girl, in the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, the cans and the can'ts, the goods and the bads, the guilt, the shame, the lack of confidence. I was so wrapped up in comparing myself to others and judging myself and beating myself up that I missed out on the 90% of my life that I could have been living if I wasn't so focused on that 10% of beating myself up and losing weight and trying to change myself. We can put such a strong hold on willpower and discipline that we end up missing out on living our lives. We end up missing out on the joy and the memories of the little things that matter most. One of my clients recently told me that she used to think that discipline had to be a rigid plan, But she started to see through our coaching together that that was just her inner mean girl. And when she learned to quiet that voice down, she learned how flexible discipline could be. She learned how the healthy habits that she wanted to create could be a part of her life without consuming her life. She learned that she didn't need more time in her day. She needed to stop spending so much time on that 10% and focus more on the 90%. And as a result, she ended up feeling so abundant in her time and energy. She had so much more time and energy to give to herself and her family simply because of this shift from that 10% to the 90%. Number 9, others are just evidence of what is possible. This one has had one of the biggest impacts on my life because for so long, all I did was compare myself to others and then use that comparison to judge myself and beat myself up and bring myself down and get stuck in this negative spiral of never being enough. But the concept of others are just evidence of what is possible is something that my coach introduced to me and something that I have been practicing for 4 years now, because comparison is a natural thing for all of us to do. But when you can take that comparison and you can quiet that inner mean girl and show up and be like, I see what you're doing here. You want me to see that person and to think I'm not good enough, that they can do it and I can't. But the reality is, if they can do it, so can I. They've just figured out how to do it. But if they have figured out how to do it, there's no reason that I can't figure out how to do it. I want you to really think about this, especially if you get caught up in comparison and judgment and you beat yourself up if you think that you should look a different way or have different things or act a certain way. I want you to think about, where is comparison coming into play there? And what if you saw that person that you think has the perfect life and you're like, well, if they can have it, so can I. And what do I need to do? Who do I need to show up as? What do I need to believe? What do I need to feel? What do I need to stop resisting in order to get there? This changes so much if you allow yourself to believe that this world is just full of people that are evidence for you of what is possible. There are no unicorns in this world. There are no people that are given special powers that they can do it. Sure, some people have different circumstances that maybe make it easier for them, but that doesn't stop you from being able to do or create the life that you see in them that you want for yourself. You just have to be willing to quiet that inner mean girl and start believing that it's possible for you. And number 10, I saved the best one for last. There is no right way. There is only the way that you make right. If you take anything from this week's episode, I want it to be this, especially if you are looking to create healthier habits, if you are looking to build your confidence, if you are looking to feel better or more confident in your body or to lose weight, this is the thing that changed so much for me. I used to get so overwhelmed with doing it right. And when it comes to our wellness, when it comes to our health, when it comes to our confidence, really when it comes to living our lives, there is so much information out there, so much contradictory information that tells you do this, do that. This is the right way. This is the wrong way. If you do this, you're going to get this. There's so much out there that it can feel really overwhelming. But through coaching, when I really allowed myself to focus on there is no right way, there is only the way that I make right. I opened myself up to how does this make me feel? What makes me feel good? What do I enjoy doing? What do I not enjoy doing? What time do I have? How can I best use this time in a way that makes me feel good? I opened myself up to a whole new world that felt so freeing from the world that I had been in, which was like, shove yourself in this little box of all of the things that you need to do and all of the things that you can't do and all of the rights and all of the wrongs and all of the goods and all of the bads. And you take that and you just do all those things or not do all of those things. That was very stressful and that was very overwhelming. And it never worked for me because it never actually took my life into consideration. It never once took into consideration the stories of my inner mean girl. It never told me how to quiet those stories down. It was just like, here, do these things and you'll get this result. But if it's not the right thing for you, it won't be the thing that changes your habits. It won't be the thing that builds your confidence. It won't be the thing that allows you to live the life that you love. The way that you create things is the way that you're going to have to maintain them. So, the best way to do that is to find the way that is right for you, to allow yourself to let go of a right and a wrong and find what works for you. It is the most freeing thing that you can do for yourself. And that's exactly what we do inside of Confident Mind and Body. We find your way. We take the time that you have and we make it work for the habits that you want to create. Because who you become when you use the time that you have, when you quiet the inner mean girl, when you allow yourself to feel all of the emotions and to not make any of them wrong and to not let doubt hold yourself back and to not look to your past to determine what your future is, you will create the path that is right for you. You will create the simplest, most effective path to the results that you want, to the habits, to the confidence, to the life that you want to be living. That is what we do inside a Confident Mind and Body. And that is what I invite you to join me to do. If any of these things resonated with you, if you know that there is something out there that you want to feel healthier, that you want to feel more confident, that you want to create these habits and this balance in your life, and you want to feel free from all of the stress and the overwhelm and the restrictions and the deprivation, join me in Confident Mind and Body. All right, my friends, those are my 10 biggest breakthroughs, lessons, shifts, realizations from coaching. And I hope that they were super impactful for you as well. And if any of this resonated, reach out, join Confident Mind and Body. You can create this for yourself as well. All right, my friends, I will see you back here next week for episode 11. Bye.